Are you tapping into God Freak? Well, if you're not, on this video, I'm going to show you why it's absolutely imperative that you do tap into the God Freak and exactly what that is, and how if you're not, you're actually pushing away these manifestations. You're pushing away the desired reality that you truly want in your life. What's up, guys? My name is Nico Arapkalis. Glad to have you back for another whiteboard video. If you're new around here, you're going to enjoy this. We're going to have a lot of fun, and I'm going to be explaining, and actually I'm going to be opening up the Bible a little bit, and I'm going to be opening up a verse inside of Matthew, and why it's actually the reason that, there's this concept of going rocky versus going deep, and why if you're going rocky, that's probably why your frequency is lower than you want it to be, and why you're not experiencing what you want. And the reason I'm sharing all of this is because of the fact that I made a post on Instagram that I refer to quite a bit, and it's with these tuning forks. And so basically it shows how if this frequency, I always like to do these with dollar signs, if this tuning fork is not at a match of a frequency with this tuning fork, even though you say you want all this money in abundance, if your frequency is, one level of money abundance, it's never gonna be able to adhere to this. And then the metaphor is like the ping pong ball starts pinging, right? So I'm gonna break down all of this type of stuff, and we're gonna have some fun. We make some jokes, we make some laughs. So make sure and take some notes, have some fun here, join the community, share what you're learning, and I'm explaining why that is so important and how to raise your frequency into God level, okay? And as you know, if you have been watching this, we have a good time with this little, it's just like very therapeutic sounding, right? Sounds good. Sweet. So how you guys doing today? We're feeling good? We're feeling fine? Funny story is I've actually recorded this video twice now. First time we didn't have audio. That was my mistake. And second time we did it, I just kind of felt a little discombobulated and said, I'd rather start this over and just come fresh, and I just got my energy right, and now here we are going to be explaining this type of stuff. Okay, so I want to come into Matthew 13. I want to read this to you, and I want to explaining why as we continue move forward with these videos. I'm going to keep coming back to the Bible, because the Bible is my little travel size one. This is not a history book. Okay, it's actually really a roadmap to the life that you truly desire. And I'm going to explain that in great depth. But I want to read this to you. Matthew 13, 3 through 9. And then I'm going to bounce down to 18 through 23. Okay? Listen, a farmer went out to plant some seeds. As he scattered them across the field, some seeds fell on the footpath, and the birds came and ate them. Other seeds fell on the shallow soil and the underlying rock. The seeds sprouted quickly because the soil was shallow, but the plants soon wilted under the hot sun, and since they didn't have deep roots, they died. Other seeds fell among thorns that grew up and choked out tender plants. Still, other seeds fell on fertile soil, and they produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even 100 times as much as been planted. Anyone with ears should listen and understand. Okay? So that's like the story, and I always like to come, and this is how I read the Bible, and again, we'll continue to really press upon why this is important, but how do we actually apply this to our lives? And that's what this whole concept is, rocky versus deep. Okay, so I want to explain this real quick with the Bible verse here, starting at 18. Now listen to the explanation of the parable about the farmer planting seeds. The seeds that fell on the footpath represents who hear the message about the kingdom and don't understand it. Then the evil ones come and snatch away the seeds that was planted in their hearts. The seeds on the rocky soil represent those who hear the message immediately and receive it with joy, but since they don't have deep roots, they don't last long. They fall away as soon as they have problems or are persecuted for believing in God's word. The seed that fell among the thorns represent those who hear God's word, but all too quickly the message is crowded out by the worries of this life and the lure of wealth, so no fruit is produced. The seeds that fell on the good soil represent those who truly hear and understand God's word and produce a harvest 30, 60, or even 100 times as much has been planted. Okay, so let's talk about the application and how this applies to the God frequency. When you can tap into the God frequency, that's when you bear more fruits. So let's go right here. I would like to draw this little metaphor, and we're planting seeds. This is going to be deep. Okay, and this is going to be rocky. Okay, and as it explains is that there's certain people that plant the seeds, but it just gets into this guy right here, into the rocky. We'll say it's rocky, and then what happens is like, great, we got some fruits, but it stops, and then it, eventually falls over because it just wilts over time because of, the sun. Bear with my drawings, please. Okay, so that's great, right? We can get some results by planting seeds, and we come back to that metaphor from time to time with manifesting, is that you plant the seed, you nurture the seed, and then all of a sudden the seed sprouts, right? So that's great. We have some fruits. That's great, but it wilts over. We don't want that, right? We would rather have deep roots. We would rather have planted in fertile soil, because then this goes up significantly. And you might be thinking about this from plants, but just think about this in just terms of abundance. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs. We help them raise their frequency, remove subconscious blocks so that they can 2 to 5x their revenue inside of their company in 90 days or less. And that ultimately happens to help them with relationships, with impact, with fulfillment. It all comes down to the frequency. But think about it like this, just because everyone can relate to it, is that this is money too, right? This is money. So it's like, okay, you might make some money and then you fall off. And then you plant another seed in the rocky and then goes up, you make some money, falls off. And you're just stuck in that pattern over and over and over again. Can you relate to that? Let us know down in the comments. Be engaged. Take notes. I'm explaining why this is so damn important. So let's take the other flip side here, is that we got all sorts of money. We got all sorts of abundance coming through, right? Like, look at all that abundance because we planted in fertile soil, right? This is the type of soil that we want to plant in. So what does that actually mean in real life application? Well, if you're watching a ton of YouTube videos, but you're not going deep with them, you're not taking notes, you're not internalizing them, you're not teaching it to other people, you're not sharing it in different communities, you're not helping other people with it, that's rocky roots. If you're reading all these different books, you're listening to all these different podcasts, and you're just so bombarded by so much different stuff, that's rocky. That's why you're in these cyclical patterns of making a little bit of money, having a little bit of abundance, falls over. Plant another seed, fall over. Watch another YouTube video, make a little bit of money, fall over. Listen to another podcast, falls over. Pattern continues over and over again. This side, is you plant the seed in fertile soil and you go deep, right? You even plant these seeds deep, because then they shoot up, right? And that's what I'm talking about, going deep. And that's why it's imperative that if you resonate with this message that I'm sharing, go deep on our content. Go watch tons of our other videos. We're constantly making new videos. We've already made a ton of videos that have helped lots and lots of people. And we're going to continue to grow this over and over and over again. And our content's just going to continue to get better and better and better. Right? So if you resonate with me, my message, my frequency, then go in with my content. Learn it, take notes, put your notes in the comment, join the Skool community, share your learnings of that, join the live calls, tell your friends about it. Like, talk to people about these concepts. That's been one of the most powerful things. I've been studying and on my journey for practically 20 years, and this is the concept that I've taken. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my personal development, but I don't just take this approach of like, oh, join this mastermind, join this thing, buy this course, and then just like scatter. Like, I'm learning this stuff to like know this information. Oftentimes I'll join things and I go through it like 5-10 times. There's even that audio course that I've gone through, hundreds and hundreds of hours. I've probably done it like 5-7 times, right? And that's what you're going to help you really raise your frequency, because if you're just having that concept of going deep, that's actually helping you with your emotional conviction in what you believe and what you stand for, which is raising your frequency, which brings us to a really great point. I'm glad you led us here. It's funny how that all works out, right? So let me know what's making sense. Is this stuff making sense? Or do you need to come back to this a couple more times and really understand it? Oftentimes I'll come back onto YouTube videos and I'll listen to them and take notes on them several times just so I can understand the concept so that I can know. Because to know and not to do is to not know. And that one of the quickest ways that you can, quote unquote, do in that model of to know and to not to do is to not know, is to teach it to somebody else. Okay, the only way that you can teach something to somebody else, you have to know it. The only way to know it is you teach it. It's a cycle, right? So the more that you can learn stuff, really conceptualize it, understand it, then teach it in some capacity, whether that's just writing it out, sharing it with somebody in a community, calling a friend. It's very helpful. That's why I even make these YouTube videos. I want to grasp these concepts and deepen them even more. That's why I'm teaching them. And I have a lot of fun with these. So I crack jokes from time to time. So where does that lead us now? Well, let's talk about frequency and what does that really consist of? What actually is frequency, and how do you strengthen your frequency so that you have that God level frequency? Because that's really what it is. God level frequency is a strong frequency. Why is that important? Well, let's come back to the tuning forks. Okay? Bear with my tuning forks, okay? And I always like to just, again, like I said, do the money dance here. Okay? It doesn't matter if your frequency is at $1 sign and you want to be earning $3 signs. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how many leads you get. It doesn't matter how many sales calls you get on. You might bump up to a higher level income, but then eventually that's going to drop right down, because essentially what's going on is your vibration is being put out, but it's missing the boat, right? So what happens is once you change your frequency, boom, okay, now we have that frequency, and then it's vibrating here, and then that's when the ping pong ball starts getting active, right? So the whole thing is like raise your frequency to what you desire, because just like Einstein said, everything is energy. Okay, that's not a new concept. But he talked about if you want to create your reality that you desire, just get on that frequency and it's inevitable. That's basically what he said. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that's ultimately what he said. So how does this happen? And then what really is frequency consist of? I'm going to leave that up here because it's a good metaphor and drawing. And where this also came from, see, look what happens when I don't dry it off. Bear with me. So one of the other reasons that I wanted to make this video in particular was because I put out a poll and I asked questions on my story on Instagram yesterday, and people were asking, how do I raise my frequency? What are some good routines and habits? And then one of the best questions that I really liked is that, what if I'm around people that have a lower frequency than me and I keep on falling into their frequency? That can happen, right? Let's talk about this real quick about what frequency actually consists of. Okay, so I like to keep things simple. We could go into more depth. There's more layers if we want to dive deeper, but for this video, I want to talk about your thoughts, your beliefs, your identity, and your emotional conviction. And so relating and correlating this whole idea about what someone asked, actually a couple of people asked the same question in a different way. They said, if I'm around other people that are dragging me down, how do I get away from that? How do I not let their frequency affect me, right? And so what I want to illustrate is that strongest frequency wins. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. Strongest frequency wins. Okay, and what do I mean by strongest frequency? Okay, is it, okay, you're having good thoughts, you're listening to YouTube videos, you're consuming content, you're maybe even teaching things, you're taking notes, you're teaching other people. That's great, right? But how much do you actually believe in that? How much do you believe in what you're learning? And this is why I come back to Matthew and why it's so important to go deep and double click on it, as we talk about. Double click on it, just like if you're on your computer, you double click on it and then you open up the folder and then you dive deeper. You double click on that folder, dive deeper, double click on that folder, dive deeper. And once you really start understanding this stuff and use the concept known as spaced repetition, you start believing in it more. That's really what it's coming down to, is that you're believing it more, and ultimately you're having more of an emotional conviction with that. Okay? You believe it, it's part of your identity, and you're like, no one can tell you anything different. And that's why literally any type of manifestation technique works, as long as you believe it and you have 100% conviction within it. Right? But it's like, how do you get there? How do you get to that emotional conviction? Because what I'm getting at is that, again, let's come here and say, just to take these guys off real quick, keep the tuning forks in there. Let's say this is actually the person that's kind of dragging you down. They have a low frequency, okay? And you have, a higher frequency because you're, doing all the things that we've been talking about. But here's the thing, this is the wild part of it all, is that a lot of times you can still fall into, even though you have a higher frequency, they, for whatever reason, they seem to be pulling you down to their frequency, and you continue to just fall into their frequency. Why is that? Well, it's because they have a strong emotional conviction, and in fact, it's stronger than you. And think about this. I was even on a flight last night, and this guy was super negative, and he was yelling at the people ahead of us because he was waiting to get off the flight, and it felt like no one was moving. He was getting so frustrated and so flustered. But think about the people that complain. They are so emotionally convicted in their complaining, right? No one could have even said anything to this guy and said, yo, dude, like, relax. He would have been like, no, what do you mean? These guys need to move and let's go, come on. He was so pissed off, right? He had a strong emotional conviction with his frequency, his low, dense frequency. And because of that, you're going to fall into that frequency the longer you spend around that person, right? The more that you spend around those type of people, you're going to fall into their frequency if they have more emotional conviction than you, which dense, fearful, scarce type of frequencies have a lot of emotional conviction. That's why people can get stuck in them. And so that's why, again, we talk about going deep, going about the double click, the spaced repetition. You have to learn this stuff so deep so that you have that emotional conviction, so that no one can shake you, so that no one can tell you anything different. Because if that is the case, they have more emotional conviction within their frequency, you're going to fall into their frequency, right? And the other thing that's really funny is that, like, the more that you can make jokes, not necessarily at the expense of them, but like, for example, my friend actually told me this one, it's really good. This guy was so upset, wanting to get off the flight, and then immediately the thought came in my mind, is like, oh, guy's got to take a shit. And it just had me like cracking up. And then like, I had the emotional conviction in that because I just I just want to make fun of it. And it's been my emotional conviction. I want to like make light. Because even, you know, me messing up on this video literally 2 times before, I just kind of laughed at it, right? And the more that you can get in that space where you're not emotionally charged by little things like people waiting in line, or, you know, not plugging in the mic on the camera, the more that you don't get emotionally charged by these events, that says a lot about your frequency. And the more that you can just crack jokes and have fun and be loose. We talked about this on a previous video, like, why so serious? The people that are very serious and holding on tight are the people that continue to experience the life that they don't desire because of the fact that they're emotionally addicted to it, right? And this is a practice. That's why, again, go deep, double click, okay? So let's finish this up and say, how do we do this? How do we get that emotional conviction that these people that have the dense emotions, how do we get the emotional conviction in the higher level emotions, the abundance, the joy? That's what we'll dive into right now. What are you guys learning? What are you feeling? Share with me what's really sinking in. And if this is your second time, your third time listening to this, first of all, I applaud you on that, because that's the whole goal here. And consistency is the mother of all skill. That's why we're doing our 30-day Joe Dispenza meditation challenge inside of our Skool community. So if you're not in that yet, get your booty in there. It's really powerful. We're on day 3 right now. We might even have some prizes for the winners in there. People are really gravitating towards it. It's actually one of our more popular videos here on YouTube right now, right? And this is the kind of stuff that we teach our accelerator clients, people that are entrepreneurs that want to take things to the next level, remove those subconscious blocks and raise their frequency for good so they can 2 to 5x their business in the next 90 days or less. We've done that with plenty of students, you know, 5xing their business in a matter of 30 days, going from a 7-figure company to a mid 8-figure company. So if you guys want to learn more about that, we got a link down below for there's a cool video I just put together that shows you exactly how do we use the woo and do framework that can really help you skyrocket your results. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're really ambitious and you think you got the chops, go ahead and check that out. But let's talk about this last part and then we'll close out here. Emo. Okay, we're all under the understanding now at this point. And if this isn't making sense, again, rewind, listen, take notes, rewind, listen, take notes until it really starts seeping in and you start knowing this stuff. And that way, the more that you know this stuff, the more that you're going to have that conviction to believe in it and the emotional conviction. So obviously, like we'll be sharing, like that's one of the best things is the space repetition. Over and over and over again is going to get you to believe in it more and more. Okay. At the same time, here's a really powerful concept. Okay. Let's talk about, you know, fear, doubt, insecurity, scarcity, all these type of things. Okay. Fear, doubt, worry, okay? These are probably emotions that pop up from time to time, right? I have them, they still come up for me, right? They're never gonna go away full and complete, is my firm belief, right? But that's okay. It's truly okay. Because here's the thing, is that fear, doubt, worry, scarcity, these can be transmuted. They can be transmuted because everything is energy. Just like Einstein said, everything is energy. So how do we transmute that energy? Well, let's look at this. What is the opposite of fear? It's courage. Doubt. Faith. Worry. Conviction. Scarcity. So here's the thing. As below, so above. Okay? Everything is energy. It's just vibrating at a different frequency. So in fact, fear and courage are the exact same thing. They're just vibrating at a different frequency. Okay? Doubt and faith are the same exact thing, an emotion. They're just vibrating at a different frequency. Worry and conviction are the same exact emotion, vibrating at a different frequency. Scarcity and abundance, same emotion, vibrating at a different frequency. So, how do we actually get to the point where we are eliminating all of these and more so stepping into these? Because nothing can be created nor destroyed, it just can be transmuted. So, instead of fear, doubt, worry, scarcity, how do we transmute that into courage, faith, conviction, and abundance? Because I think we could probably all agree is that if we were just in this mode right here as opposed to this, we would have more emotional conviction. In fact, like, look at it. Think about this. Let's just take this out for a second. People that have courage, people that have faith, people that have conviction, people that have abundance, they typically have that emotional conviction, right? They believe in what they're saying. People can't come up to them and be like, hey, you're wrong. They're like, okay, cool. Thank you for your opinion. Appreciate you, but I'm going to continue on my way. Like, I'm not listening to you, right? Because I believe in my heart, I know what's true. I know what matters to me. And because of that, then, what do you know? They've got God frequency. They've got God frequency because no one can tell them anything differently, right? They have that emotional conviction. They have that belief. They have that abundance. They have that courage. So, how do you take fear and turn it into courage? How do you take doubt, turn it into faith, worry into conviction, scarcity into abundance? Because it's the same emotion, it's just vibrating at a different frequency. Because think about it. This is a really cool concept. Ice. I'm not going to try and draw water. But these are the same exact things. Like, ice and water are the same things. It's just water vibrates at a different frequency than ice, right? And it's just, we got to melt ice to turn it into water. How do we melt all these emotions to turn them into the emotions that we want to experience so that we can have the emotional conviction, so that we can have God freak, right? Well, that's what we're going to tell you right now. So, hold on to your pants. It was so funny on that flight last night. A bunch of yahoos out there, and we're sending them all love because we are all one. You know, I used to, and I still fall into this every once in a while, but like understanding that we are all one. No one is different than us. Why would we judge them? Because if we're judging them, we're judging ourselves. So if a guy is getting all flustered, it's just like we send him love. We send him good energy. And the more that we send that energy to him, we receive that energy as well. So that's why we just make jokes and have fun and act like I had to go take a shit. Maybe you did. Maybe I do. All right. Let's come back to emo conviction. Transmuting energy. Tension. Okay? So basically look at this. Look at attention kind of like a fork in the road. It's like you kind of have to decide. Right? You're coming down the path and then you're like, okay, where are we going to focus our attention? Is it going to be on, let's put a conviction or worry? Fear, doubt, courage, abundance, faith, conviction, worry, scarcity. Okay? We have a choice. As we're coming down the road, we have a choice on where we're going to put our attention. Because where attention goes, energy flows. Okay, Einstein did a double slit test. to prove that that is truth. So it's just like, all right, we have a decision right here. Where are we going to put our energy? Because again, these are all the same things, but we just have to make a decision on where we're putting our attention, right? So how do we actually do that? I mean, that sounds great in theory, but still, I'd ask you, have you ever had any challenges with, making that decision and putting the attention on the right things rather than the wrong things, right? That are going to pull down your frequency. So a really powerful way to do this is we do what's called this is something that we really help with our accelerator clients. This is a big staple to how we help people raise their frequency if they really want to elevate their business and their life, right? Is they have a milestone list, okay? It could be a courage milestone list. It could be an abundant milestone list. It could just be simply a wins milestone list. It could be laughs list. Anything that's going to help you put attention towards the energy that you want to embody so that you can have that emotional conviction in what you truly desire. But it's simply putting every single month, you have a milestone list. For me, I have my wins, I have my belly laughs, I have even my revelations from the Bible. I'm starting to put these together more and more. And then next I'm going to have an abundant and I'm going to have courage. So like, for example, one thing I've shared, a fair bit so far is that, with dating and attracting women into my life is one of the things that I love doing is I put together that whole list of times that I've been very courageous in that facet, right? Where I go propose to the bottle girl, even though I was kind of scared to do it. My friend kind of like, not bet, but just like proposed that I go do that. And I went and did it, even though I was like, my hands were shaking. I did it, and it was just funny because I was like, I got down on one knee. I was like, baby, I'm sorry. I was drunk. I thought it was you. It was your sister. Like, it just made this whole joke about it. But that showed me right there. There's so much courage embodied in that. So I put that into my list. Okay, that was when I proposed to a bottle girl. That's courage right there, right? But it doesn't have to even be that extreme. Like maybe I had the courage to speak up when someone was saying the wrong thing, right? Maybe I had the courage to make this video for the third time when I was kind of tired and lethargic after making it the first 2 times, right? So it's just constantly putting all these things in. If you want to experience more courage and you want to have more emotional conviction with courage, put together your monthly milestone list for courage. Same thing with abundance. And you can be abundant in anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be money. Like you could be, I'm abundant with friends. I'm abundant with food in my fridge. I'm abundant with great thoughts. And you continue to put together that list of abundance. You start focusing on that. You put energy towards that. Now you're building up that emotional conviction. And now you have more of that God energy, that God frequency around courage, abundance, your wins, your laughs, all these good positive emotions as opposed to fear, scarcity, lack, worry, doubt. Again, we just talked about like the faith list. Have all these things that you've been faithful with, that you haven't given in to the doubt, the insecurity, the worry, the scarcity. And the more that you can focus on that stuff, the more that you'll actually experience that, and the more that you'll have that frequency, that God level frequency. And we'll continue to talk why we call that God level frequency. Okay, I'm gonna make another video about the 10 commandments and why that's probably one of the best things you can do in terms of manifesting and creating the life that you truly desire. And we'll be diving more into the Bible and how it really relates to creating the reality that you desire. So I'm excited to share that stuff with you guys. Make sure and leave your notes down below. Appreciate y'all. Subscribe if you want some more action like this. And again, if you don't, that's fine. But the people that are subscribed, that are here, we're going in, we're double clicking, we're going deep, just like what we do on our Skool Community. So make sure and get plugged in there. We go live every single week. We have over 600 members. It likely will be a paid community soon, but as of right now, it's a free community. So that's all I got for you guys. Just to recap really quick, is that it's all about double clicking. It's about going deep, spaced repetition. That's going to help you have more belief in what you say and what you believe, and that abundance and that courage and all those type of things. If you just continue to learn it, not trying to learn from a million different people and trying to find these little pockets, these little golden wisdoms, it's rather just learning concepts deeper. That's why I learn concepts and then I listen to books and podcasts and different things, and I go deep on it because I just want to learn it. I want to learn it deeper, not learn a bunch of different things. I don't want that rocky soil. I want that deep soil that bears fruit, because at the end of the day, that's what this is all about. We want to bear more fruit. Okay? So that's the gist, guys. Make sure and utilize the monthly milestone list. It's a really powerful tool so that you cannot be susceptible to people that have a stronger, denser frequency than you, pulling you down, and you just get stuck in that pattern over and over and over again. It's not what we want. Appreciate you guys.